Let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Diana. I'm the head of research and sustainability at the Global Blockchain Business Council. It's my pleasure today to welcome you to GBBC's virtual members forum on how to improve distribution with blockchain-based tracking of ownership. We are a bi-weekly webinar that showcases the innovative work of our members around the world. Today, we are joined by Luc Falempin, CEO and founder of Tokeny. GBBC member Tokeny allows financial actors operating in financial private markets and private markets to compliantly issue, transfer, and manage securities using distributed ledger technology, enabling them to improve asset liquidity. Tokeny is recognized as the leader in its field by KPMG, CB Insights, and PwC. They are backed by Euronext, APEX, Inveniam, and K20 Fund. Just briefly, before we begin, I would like to also introduce Luc. Luc Falempin is CEO and founder of Tokeny and has been immersed in enterprise-grade technology for over 10 years. In this time, he has successfully started and sold 2 technology startups. Always aware of emerging technology, Luc discovered blockchain in 2011 and founded Tokeny in 2017, a technology enabler with the vision of digitizing capital markets. Tokeny obviously has significant backing and is currently leading the tokenization platform with more than 28 billion of tokenized assets, which are managed by the platform. Luc today will highlight the ways that distributed ledger technology revolutionizes traditional ownership tracking methods through transparency, traceability, and trust within the entire distribution cycle. He'll break down Tokeny's approach to streamlining the distribution process, enhancing market liquidity, and empowering businesses to navigate the private market landscape in today's digital economy. We welcome your questions at any point during today's presentation, so please submit them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we will take them after the presentation. Thank you, Luc, for joining us. I will now hand things over to you to begin.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for having me today. So first of all, I want to apologize for my English, and second for my voice, because I lost a bit my voice, but it should be fine. So let me share my screen to share with you my presentation. So I think it should work fine now. All right. So today we will focus on distribution. So distribution is a big keyword. We'll see how blockchain can help. Of course, it's not because you tokenize assets that suddenly everybody wants to buy your investment offering, your investment project, but it can help by creating the new pipes, a good infrastructure for distribution. So quick word about Tokeny, even if Diana introduced us very well. Thank you for this. I think it's important to mention that we do tokenization for almost 6 years. So we are dinosaurs of this industry. We are a tech enabler. So our role is really to develop the right technology to make sure that our clients and partners can benefit from blockchain without the issues, without the complexity. So today we are a bit less than 40 employees. We have clients in 5 continents, a bit more than 100 clients, a bit more than 100 token issuers, actually. Most of them are multi-issuers or distribution platforms. So as a tech enabler, our role is really to cover the full value chain and to help the different stakeholders to do their job, even if it's a new infrastructure. So we are not trying to replace different stakeholders or different intermediaries in the value chain, we try to make sure everything is efficient, fast, and to limit data reconciliation. So it will help distribution if we do this properly, because data is at the essence of distribution. If you don't have the right data, you cannot make your investment assessment decisions, and therefore you don't invest. So we cover the full value chain. We started with the onboarding of investors. So we have solutions to onboard any type of investors in any type of jurisdictions. We have solutions for digital identities and wallets, for the full token and investor management. More and more we have solutions for the secondary market, because distribution is good for the primary, but also for the secondary market. And more we're animating what we call the DINO. I will talk a bit about this after, which is a distribution network. So our role is not to be an operator of this distribution network. Our role as a tech company is to make sure that if you tokenize assets with this framework, you are compatible by default with as many trading venues as possible, different type of trading venues, centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, DeFi protocols, bulletin board systems, and OTC, digital trading desks. So all of this type of trading venues directly compatible. So the first thing is to tokenize assets. And when we say tokenizing asset, it means representing these assets on the blockchain, not on a centralized exchange, on the blockchain where people can interact with this blockchain, eventually access data and perform operations. So that's what we do with the ERC 3643 token protocol. So this token protocol is for permission tokens. It means that only eligible investors can receive these tokens. It's a very important way to apply compliance rules, because most securities rules are linked to the investor types, the jurisdiction and the type of investors, different criteria of these investors. So basically with this standard, you can easily deploy a full set of smart contracts and make sure that only approved token holders can receive these tokens and manage these tokens. So you basically have a whitelist of token holders at any moment. So we tokenize the cap table of the asset, and then we track the ownership. So every time there is a transfer or anything happening, it's directly visible by the issuer or its agents based on blockchain data. So this whitelist of token holders, very important to apply rules related to the investors. And then we have rules related to the global offering. For example, maximum number of trade per month or that kind of rules for everybody. The second important aspect of the token protocol is really the fact that you have a lot of control functions. So as an issuer or an authorized agent, you can do a lot of things with these tokens. You can do a lot of things because securities are centralized. Even if we leverage a decentralized infrastructure, the issuer, its agents, investors, everybody has rights and duties. So we need to make sure that it can be applied and enforced even on a blockchain network, even on a public blockchain network. And that's why in the smart contracts, we have a lot of things like, for example, the capability to recover tokens, to force transfer tokens, to mint, burn, freeze, unfreeze, pause the whole token smart contract, etc. So the first thing is to manage permissions. When a token is deployed, it's not controlled by Tokeny. It's the ownership of this smart contract is given to the issuer directly. And he can use our platform to make everything easy, but the wallet address controlling the tokens are the one of the issuers, Then he can appoint agents. These agents can have different roles to KYC check the investors, to add them in the whitelist, or to perform operations with the token in order to manage the cap table. And also for investors, the issuer or its agent can choose the different transfer methods, authorize that kind of things. So basically, directly in the token, thanks to the standard, we have a lot of data, all of these compliant rules, and also additional data related to the asset. This protocol is open source. It has been developed a few years ago by Tokeny. It evolves every year. We just released the version 4. And now we just launched a non-profit association to promote this protocol and make sure that it's developing the right way. So several tokenization platforms are using it already, and we think it's a great way to build some standardization in our space. So for tokenization, you need different components if you want to bring compliance and control. But still being on a network, on a blockchain network, and not on one distribution platform. So the first thing is to identify properly the different stakeholders, who is the issuer, who are the agent, who are the investors, and to do this at the blockchain level. So we created on-chain ID for this. So on-chain ID is basically the bridge between the off-chain verifications and the on-chain proof. And because we have this proof on-chain, it becomes executable directly on the blockchain. It can be verified by the token or by any DeFi protocol or that kind of things. So this is automatic in our system. Everybody who is whitelisted will receive automatically an on-chain ID. If he doesn't have one already, he can reuse this on-chain ID. It's a self-sovereign identity, which is very, very important. And the verifiable credentials of this identity can be leveraged by the token standard. So that's the first key element, on-chain identities. The second one is a protocol we just talked about. So it's standardized, audited, and can be deployed in a matter of seconds or minutes very easily. All of this is open source, on-chain ID and the token protocol. And then we have the GRX platform. So the GRX platform is actually a proprietary solution from Tokeny to perform blockchain operations and to read easily blockchain data in a business way, meaning without any technical skills. So this platform can be used by anyone, any operator authorized to do so, obviously. But anyone can deploy tokens easily and manage these tokens, manage token holders, and the permissions linked to the tokens. So this platform, what it does mostly, it's a very modular platform. So that's why you have all of these components. The main ones being the ones on the top, so the factory and the servicing. So the factory is a tool, a no-code tool to deploy these tokens, this ERC-3643 tokens. So in a few clicks, you set up your token information, and then you push this to the blockchain. Once it is deployed on the blockchain, via the servicing, you can manage everything. Who are the administrators of this token? Who are the investors? And perform operations on your tokens. On the investor side, so everything is in white label. Tokeny is not an operator, so we provide white label solutions. We have solutions to create a full digital journey for investors. From the qualification to the subscription, so all of this is the onboarding of investors to create a digital experience. Then we have the investor portal, the marketplace, which is a multi-token distribution website. And more we provide secondary market solutions such as the billboard. So it's quite complete, and all of this is available either via white label interfaces, web interfaces, or via APIs. And we consume our own APIs, meaning that you can automate a lot of operations. For example, if you use an external onboarding platform, you can, at the end of the process, whitelist your users, your investors directly for tokens via APIs. Just an example. So more and more we have clients, large financial institutions automating operations or connecting our software with their legacy systems via the APIs. So with all of these components, we can do a lot of things because actually tokenization is just the first step. It's just the door to the blockchain infrastructure. But then what do you do with these tokens? It's good to have a token. It's good to be in a strong infrastructure. But it's not because you tokenized that you already benefited from blockchain technologies and what you can do with it. So we see the token as the center. Why? Because the token will carry data. It will carry all of the compliance rules, so linked to investors and extra compliance rules. And also you can link data related to the underlying asset. So for example, if you tokenized some real estate, you can link to your token a lot of data related to this real estate building or whatever, especially the valuation, but not only any documents and that kind of things. So this information can be made available publicly, or you can restrict the access to, for example, people who are already whitelisted for the token. So compliance, valuation, cap table, all of this data is linked to the token and already accessible by the right stakeholders, and travel, if I can say, directly with the token. So compliance built in the token and the data as well. So it enables a lot of things. It enables connectivity with trading venues, because as trading venues can rely on this data. The token provides a golden copy of all of the data. You can control transfers, and you can do smart transfers where you have different process of approbation, validation of this transfers. You have atomic settlement, obviously, so on and so forth. So you can automate a lot of things based on this data. And also a use case that we particularly like is about collateralization. So in a nutshell, what we like to propose to our clients is to represent their asset on the blockchain, and then to choose their distribution, their distributors and trading venues for the primary market, for the secondary market. We don't think it makes sense to manage a cap table at the exchange level, because most of our clients, what they want to do is to leverage blockchain technologies to become more global. And usually they want to centralize their data, the cap table on the blockchain for this, as a suitable infrastructure to do that. So we have several customers listed on different continents and different type of trading venues, thanks to this new framework. So our idea is to unlock liquidity via the DINO network. So I mentioned it earlier very quickly. The idea is that if you tokenize with the ERC-3643, by default, we can propose you a large set of distributors for the primary market, for the secondary market. So basically, we create step-by-step a large catalog of tokenized assets available directly by any trading venues. So every token issuer can choose if their tokens is made available or not to the network, with different parameters, and depending of what they try to do. So already today, it's compatible with several regulated trading venues like centralized exchanges, with some decentralized exchanges, with some bulletin board systems and digital trading desks, and more with some DeFi protocols. So we have a long list of partners for this, depending on the type of assets and the jurisdictions they target. So the idea today was not to make a slide with a lot of logos, but more to explain the concept. And we think it's really a key component of our solution in the upcoming years, because it's good to have the best tokenization platform, but what's really important and what is really important is what you can do with these tokens. And so we want to make sure that our customers and partners can really leverage blockchain technology to basically interconnect these liquidity pools, and to make sure that we avoid data reconciliation. The goal is to avoid the silos, to rebuild silos everywhere, and to make sure that we leverage blockchain for what it is supposed to do, meaning sharing trust and transferring value. So we think interoperability is a key enabler for liquidity. What we still see today is that financial institutions made the strategic decisions already to go digital, but they are still rebuilding silos. So it's changing step by step, but we still have a lot of clients who want to issue on private networks with the future possibility to connect to public networks. Why not? We understand that there's a path to go there. But we really think that at the end, hopefully, ideally, it should be an hybrid model where we have public blockchains leverage to share data and avoid data reconciliation. So it's really by using proven standards that interoperability can become an enabler for liquidity. So what kind of standards do we need? First, we need a blockchain standard. We are compatible with any EVM blockchain networks. So EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. So it's actually most of the blockchain networks and technologies, even the ones who are not initially EVM compatible are step by step becoming compatible. Ripple, Tezos, Ederage, Graft, many of them. And of course, all of the public blockchains with strong activity like Polygon, Avalanche, and others are EVM compatible. So we see easily as the EVM technology stack to be a very good interoperability layer for all of these blockchain networks. And we want to make sure that Tokeny we provide the right tools to give access to these different networks to our clients. The second type of standard we need is for the token. If everybody is using different type of smart contracts with different functions, even if these functions do the same things but are not named the same, at some point we'll need to do a lot of system to make everything compatible and connected. So that's why we open source the ERC-3643 and are now working hard on this association to make sure that the basic layers, the foundation of the smart contracts are the same for everybody. And then thanks to the composability of smart contracts, anyone can build on top of this framework. We already have partners who are transforming a bit this token framework to adapt it for NFTs, so permissioned NFTs. Not that I'm a big fan of NFTs, but in their case, it's very interesting. They really need non-fungible tokens. It's a project for debt and it makes sense. But usually we cannot tokenize with NFTs because securities are fungible by law, by definition. So we have this token standard, and hopefully it will be more and more used. But we are working on this. Finally, the identity standard. Identity and the investors' data is a big part of the trouble in the financial industry. Everybody is basically doing the same operations all and all over again. Whereas if we can know who is the source of trust and make sure that the source of trust has validated something, we can automate a lot of operations. So once again, we have created Engine ID, which is open source and directly linked to the token standard. So quick focus on some of our solutions. So the servicing platform is our main platform because it's for issuers and their agents. It's really their dashboard where they can manage their tokens, so deploy tokens, manage their cap table, track every operation, and perform operation. So basically, this platform is scanning the blockchain in real time, so listening events of all the deployed tokens and reconciling all of this blockchain data with investors' confidential data to build the cap table. So it's an automatic cap table. Every transfer, every operation of the token will be directly reflected on the tool, and you can prove everything thanks to the immutability of the blockchain. So we can do this on different blockchains, different networks, as long as it is EVM. Also, on the investor side, so as I was saying, we have different tools. which are not mandatory for clients, but we want to make sure it's easy to use. And for example, this marketplace, we had more and more clients wanted to launch digital market infrastructure and distribution platform for their clients. So we came up with this front end. So we can basically provide this white label marketplace to any distributor in a matter of days. So any broker dealer can launch a digital platform, connect to the catalog of tokenized assets, and make some kind of curation and propose tokenized asset to their clients, even on a closed environment, full control. But everything is linked to the token on the blockchain. So it's basically creating step-by-step a decentralized network of distributors, but connected to the same database, which is on-chain, which is the cap table on-chain. So on this marketplace, you have different sections. You have a primary market section and a secondary market section as well, with a built-in board system. So this secondary market solution built-in is what we call billboard. So it's a built-in board system. Why? Because in most jurisdictions, you don't need any license to operate a built-in board. We think it's quite interesting because you can make sure that investors will find a counterparty, and then they will totally leverage blockchain to make a trade with atomic settlement, so without any counterparty risk. But there's two things are separated. Simply, it's great to have the blockchain and to be able to transfer your assets in a compliant way, in a very fast and efficient way. But first, you need to find someone to trade with. In most jurisdictions, if you manage an order book or a platform where you match supply and demand, you need licenses, which is a good thing. However, most of these licenses are done for systems without blockchain, where you have a need of a CSD for the settlement, etc. So it's not really compatible, let's say, with blockchain, or at least not by default. That's why we have now the DLT pilot regime in Europe, for example. So on any investor portal, we can activate a built-in board. So if you want to buy a token, you basically go on the website of this token and you get qualified, and then you can post ads saying what you want to buy or want to sell. And all of these ads, these offers, are distributed across a network of marketplaces. So we are working on several types of liquidity solutions for the secondary market. I didn't switch the slide before. So we work on different types of liquidity solutions. So we really like the collateralization use case. We talk with a lot of asset owners who don't want to sell their asset, but want to leverage the value of their assets to perform things, to new projects. Of course, collateralization works already today in traditional finance, but it's limited to a certain number of publicly listed assets most of the time. So here we think that with blockchain, we can accelerate the process and bring much more assets as collateral. So you're probably familiar already with some DeFi lending protocols, where basically you send your tokens in a vault, you get money in exchange, and then you need to pay back your interest. So usually the crypto space, it works with over collateralized vaults. We have different projects to do the same with security tokens. So technically, it's already compatible with most of the large protocols for lending, except that you have all the compliance rules. So you basically need some kind of approval from the issuer or one of his agents to activate a DeFi protocol, to authorize a DeFi protocol. Also, everything around digital trading desks. So of course, the built-in board that I was talking about. We think it's a direct solution for issuers and marketplace operator who wants to directly create a bit of visibility on the trading opportunities. So here you just have some screenshots about the solution where basically you post an ad saying you want to buy, you want to sell, and you input your contact. Your counterparty will negotiate with you via other means, and then you can perform transfers, different type of transfers depending on what is authorized by the issuer. But we can do DVD transfers, delivery versus delivery transfers, atomic settlement, where you make sure that your securities will leave your wallet only when you will receive the funds. So of course, the cash leg needs to be on chain as well in order to work properly. And otherwise, we have different type of transfers for like conditional transfers, that kind of things, where the transfer agent can validate the transfer and make sure that the money arrives at the right place. It's important to say that we can verify automatically the compliance on all of these transfers, and even before the transfer. So maybe it's small here, but on the screenshot, you can see the last column is qualification. So as an investor, I can see already if I am qualified or not for a token, or if I cannot be qualified for a token, and all of this thanks to my on-chain ID. So if I'm qualified already, I know that I can trade this token. If I'm potentially qualified, my criteria could fit, but I need to follow the process of qualification. And potentially I cannot be qualified because it's not authorized for American investors, and I'm in the US, for example. So we really leverage blockchain data to enforce some kind of quality in these offers and to improve the user experience. So what I was saying is that an investor can post an ad on a bulletin board, and then this, not too sure why my bulletin board A doesn't appear here in the middle, but when an ad is created on a bulletin board, then it can be spread across a network of other bulletin boards or marketplaces if the issuer authorizes that. So the idea is to maximize the visibility of this trading opportunities, but still managing some kind of centralization thanks to the blockchain. Decentralized exchanges. So more and more Uniswap and other decentralized exchanges are becoming popular for crypto, but it can work as well for security tokens. Once again, the compliance is built in the token, and the ERC-3643 is basically ERC-20 tokens, but on steroid because you have a bit more functions. So it's actually natively compatible with all of these decentralized exchanges. We made a lot of tests to make sure it works properly. The only thing is that if you're not qualified to receive a token, Uniswap by default will not tell you you're not qualified because it doesn't know. It will just simply not work. So we are working via the association, ERC-3643 association, to make sure that we develop some front-end components to tell you why it doesn't work when it is the case. So it's already working. We already discussed this topic with several regulators because it works differently. It's a set of smart contracts. You don't really have an operator. So who is supposed to be responsible? Who can create a liquidity pool? The tokens you receive when you put your tokens in a liquidity pool, are they permissioned or not? That kind of questions are important to solve. So we have the technology to do it, and we are trying to find the proper partners to operate that kind of secondary market solutions. Finally, regulated exchanges, centralized exchanges. So the idea is to be compatible once again with a maximum of the centralized exchanges. So here just some examples of centralized exchanges and some for accepting security tokens. So we are already compatible with any of them, technically speaking, because we can whitelist the centralized exchange and make sure that investors can enter their deposit wallet address on their investor portal. So for every token issuer who has a commercial agreement with a centralized exchange, we can make sure that technically it will work as long as the centralized exchange accepts ERC20 tokens. To finish, so here you have a few information. We have a lot of information about tokenization on our website, in our newsletter. We create a lot of white paper as well. Recently, we made one with a large number of law firms in Luxembourg to explain how we can tokenize assets in Luxembourg. So we don't need any new regulation, any new framework or anything. We can do it directly. This paper has been co-written by a lot of large companies and law firms from Luxembourg, reviewed by the regulators. So we think we're quite confident now that in Luxembourg we will have all of the serious projects. In other jurisdictions, it's a bit less clear. Let's put it that way. So don't hesitate to visit our website, to download the ebooks, or to contact us for any information. We do tokenization on a daily basis, so we can probably share some insight with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Luc, for joining us. We really appreciate you sharing your insights about transparency, tracking methods with DLT, and all of the functionalities that you've built with Tokeny with us today. Again, I'm Diana. I'm the head of research and sustainability within GBBC, and I'm going to take a couple of questions. So to get us started, Luc, I know you had a vision in the security token market in earlier years of the space. And obviously the space changes very quickly. And now what you've built with Tokeny specifically addresses a lot of the compliance issues, and obviously with the new protocol you've had. What are some of the key features and functionalities of Tokeni's platform that address needs of financial actors and companies in managing digital assets today, especially in a fast-changing market?
So we already have more than 100 clients. So it's already a live solutions for 5 years. So hopefully we already bring concrete solutions. At least we have working solutions and our customers are happy. But so more and more clients are large financial institutions. And because we are a white label platform, a middleware, they leverage our solutions to propose new services to their end clients, being the issuers or the investors or servicers. So all of these solutions are there already, and it's quite straightforward. As I was explaining in my presentation, it's everything to issue, to manage, and to transfer the securities in a compliant way on blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's really important to have when you talk about the identity and the compliance aspect, and especially coding compliance into smart contracts to only allow eligible users to become users of a token, for example. Are you dealing with any challenges as of now?
Indeed, the on-chain identity part is very important, and our main challenge is that we are one of the only solutions to do it that way. So we need to educate a bit more and to spread the message. If you don't permission your tokens, you're very limited because you cannot authorize your token holders to make any transfer by themselves. You have to do everything for them on their behalf. Or otherwise, you don't know if they will send their tokens to someone that is not authorized, like someone in North Korea or whatever. So you can face a lot of compliance issues. So you need to permission your tokens. And you could think that permissioning tokens means whitelisting wallet addresses. but it's actually much more complex than that. And if you want to benefit from the immutability of blockchain, you need to link these wallets to an on-chain identity. Otherwise, only the web platform can guarantee the ownership. With on-chain identities, we know on-chain, we have a proof that it is the owner. So even the owner himself can prove that he is the owner of these tokens, even if he loses his wallet address, for example. If you whitelist just wallets, and the software solutions say, no, I have another name in my database, you can prove anything. So all of these things around recovery of these tokens and being able to manage several wallets, to change your wallets, to manage 1,000 operators, but act as an entity, as a legal entity with your on-chain ID. All of this is possible only with digital identities. So we think it's a key component, and we want to make sure everybody understands how it works and can leverage this open source framework easily.
Digital identity is a key factor underlying so many of these functionalities. With GBBC, we're actually running a working group as part of the Global Standards Mapping Initiative on digital identity. I want to ask you, what solutions have you proposed with respect to especially the use of the ERC 3643 protocol and how it addresses challenges as opposed to ERC 20?
So ERC 20 is not permission. So basically the only thing you can do is check your balance and transfer the token. With ERC 3643, and I know it's a terrible name, but they don't really have the choice. When you publish to the Ethereum community, get what you get. So with ERC 3643 tokens, you have a lot of control. So the use cases depend on where you are in the value chain. If you are the custodian, you have all the means, all the tools to do your roles, meaning for example, tracking the whitelistings, so manage the cap table, or to recover tokens if someone loses wallets, or other kind of things. If you are an investor, you can do transfer functions that are not by default in an ERC20 tokens. So it really depends where you are in the value chain to have different use cases. Sometimes the issuer is happy to have all of these digital tools to perform everything by himself, or sometimes he delegates to a fund servicer, an asset servicer, because anyway he prefers to focus on his core activities. So it really depends. We tokenized a bit of everything, mostly private markets, but not only. Everything from equity, debt, commodities, and especially funds, a lot of funds. And a lot of real estate.
You've probably answered the next participant question, which would be whether most of the demand would be from private or public tokenization projects. If there's anything you'd like to add, please feel free.
Yeah, so we think it's mostly interesting for private markets because private markets have no infrastructure. Everything is paper-based and very analog, or Excel. Basically, we replace Excel in most cases. For public markets, you have some use case as well, but more limited because the pipes already exist. However, you have intermediaries, a lot of data reconciliation. So blockchain and tokenization will bring benefits, but maybe it needs a bit more maturity before it replaces an existing system that works fine. Today, if you want to invest in Apple, it's easy, it's almost real time, and you can sell tomorrow in a very convenient way. For private markets, first you don't know where to find the opportunities, then you don't have access to the right data, then it's a nightmare to invest, and then you're blocked for 5, 7, or 10 years in this asset. So that's what we are trying to fix mostly.
Mm-hmm. And that being said, building off of that, how does Tokeny solution really enhance the liquidity of digital assets compared to traditional methods? You talk about tokenizing and bringing real world assets into the blockchain. If you'd like to add anything.
Yeah, so the idea is to centralize the data on the blockchain, make it controllable by the issuer or its agents, and not at each distributor level. Today, if you're thinking about what is an exchange, a traditional exchange, what it brings an infrastructure. Now we have the blockchain. It brings compliance. Now compliance is already built in the token. So the only thing that you need that is still missing is discovery, this audience, access to this audience. So we of course want to be compatible with all of these exchanges and their audience, but we also think that we can interconnect very easily everyone with an audience of investor, meaning any broker dealer, any type of distributors, new distribution platforms, etc., on the same data. For example, if you create an order to buy, all of these orders should arrive at the same place, which is the smart contract, and trigger a minting or a transfer at the same smart contract level, at the same token level. So basically, we can interconnect all of these liquidity pools and distributors to the same token smart contract.
Mm-hmm. Well, going back into the area of regulation and compliance, the next question would be, apart from the proposed regulated decentralized exchange that you presented to us, do any other tokenized services require registration or authorization by securities regulators?
So it depends on the jurisdictions. But for collateralization on chain, a lot of things you can do in most jurisdictions already today. For decentralized exchanges, it depends exactly who is involved in the process. With some regulators, we think that if there is an investment firm controlling the liquidity pool, legally speaking, it works. Sorry.
Bless you.
I knew this.
A lot. I'll give you a break.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for regulated exchanges, it's not easy to leverage blockchain because they still have a lot of obligations in terms of CSD, etc. So that's why most of them are still using omnibus wallets and basically become a black box at the blockchain level.
Exactly. What about your top focus areas into 2024? Is working with more regulators one of them? And what else do you have in mind?
So we are not licensed because we are simply a tech operator. However, for the last 6 years, we discussed with a lot of regulators all around the world to explain how we can bring compliance and control at the smart contract level and not at the blockchain level.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of fear to say, okay, if it's on a public blockchain, you cannot control anything.
Mm-hmm.
It goes everywhere, and we see everything it does with crypto. So we explained that we can actually control who can do what with these tokens by controlling the smart contracts. And usually when we explain this, regulators are first very surprised and then very intrigued and authorize our clients to issue. So of course we did that years ago in Luxembourg, where we are headquartered, and the regulators were extremely supportive. And actually in Luxembourg, 2 laws were passed a few years ago to enable tokenization and to use the blockchain infrastructure as a suitable infrastructure for securities, the dematerialization of securities. So so in Luxembourg, it worked very well, but we do this as well in several countries in Europe, in Asia, and more and more in the US and North America.
That's a really interesting concept that you bring up. I'd say the token container model, would it be? Like a bundle of rights where you can tokenize anything, and the anything would activate the respective regulatory framework, whether it be intellectual property.
Exactly, the compliance rules and data are directly linked to the token. So you have a golden copy of the rules for this specific token, and because it's code, it's executable. So based on this, you can control a lot of things, automate a lot of things, program a lot of things.
And you can literally bring that to marketplaces and trade back and forth. That's a really fascinating.
Exactly. So the marketplaces, I will even say they don't need to do too much except finding an investor, because all the rest is already there. The compliance, for example, they can do their own onboarding if they're authorized to do so by the issuer, and then whitelist the investor, or they can directly rely on the qualification of the issuer. Sorry. So we have all of these modules where, if they want, they just display the investment offerings for the primary market or secondary markets, and then everything is digital and fully automated. And depending on the agreement with the issuers, they can be remunerated for that.
And obviously, we know that you've released a recent paper. Would you like to provide a couple of highlights on the main points for the audience?
Yeah, so this paper, I mentioned it quickly during the presentation. You can find it on our website. I think you have a big banner on top, so so this white paper was co-written with all of the largest law firms of Luxembourg. So Luxembourg is a small country, but it's the second one in the world with money under management. So these law firms are extremely qualified and work on a lot of deals for investment. So all of these law firms, the Loft as well, which is our incubator here in Luxembourg, co-owned by the private consortium and the government of Luxembourg, and especially the Ministry of Finance. So it explains directly how you can tokenize technically and legally speaking. So legally speaking is quite straightforward with dematerialized securities or registered securities. And technically, if you identify the different stakeholders properly and you can control your tokens, you're good to go.
Yeah, and I can say you have a lot of experience in this industry with respect to compliance. How else would you suggest sharing your knowledge? And I know this comes from a mindset of the education community.
Yeah, so education is a big part of our job for years. So we still have a small team, so it's a real effort. So we really try to work with the whole ecosystem. We don't want to do everything. We don't want to become a marketplace operator and say that we'll be on top of everybody. Not at all. We are just a tech enabler. So we work with more and more knowledgeable people in different aspects: the distributors, the servicers, the law firms, banks, because they play a lot of different roles. So we really try to make sure it's compatible with everybody and that we can empower people. We want to be some kind of access provider to blockchain technology. Everybody wants the benefits, but not the complexity. So we try to abstract this and bring good user experience for any type of users, issuers, agents, and investors.
We talked about compliance, we talked about education, we talked about tokenization. Let's bring it back to marketplaces. Is there a way to manage trade cancellations through the trading desk or the proposed exchange that you went through? If trades exceed limits or ranges, what do we do?
So it really depends how the exchange is set up. For the built-in boards that we have built in our solution, it's actually very simple. You post an ad with your proposition, what you want to exchange against what, and your contacts. But there is no negotiation per se on this platform. That's why it's a bulletin board and not an order book, and that's why it's license exempted. And then once you contact the person to negotiate, then you can trigger a transfer with what you agreed and sign this transfer with your wallet. Your counterparty will sign as well, and the deal is done. So this is quite simple and maybe limited in terms of features, but at least you can find someone and trade. Then everything around the order book management depends on the exchange. So we have a decentralized exchange system with an order book just to play, but we are not commercializing it. And usually the order book system, the matching engine, etc., is on the exchange side, not on our side, because all of this is off-chain. And once an order is confirmed, then it's sent to the blockchain for settlement. So everything that is before the blockchain can be cancelled, etc. Once it is sent to the blockchain, it will be automatically executed. However, if an error is made or things like this, authorized agent can still control these tokens. So, for example, if I don't know, if someone steals a token or things like this, or there's you send by error some tokens to the wrong person, you can still take them back, take those tokens back if you're authorized to do so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that context. Finally, you support a token standard in essence with the protocol and the standard you've built for tokenization. Do you see a need for more standards, especially for compliance across regions and jurisdictions, or do we just have fragmented requirements for a long time?
Actually, the rules for securities are not that different from one region to another. Most of them are linked to the type of investors. So if you know from where are these investors coming and what type of investors they are, if they need to be accredited or things like this, usually you cover most of the needs. And then you can add other type of rules. For example, you have sometimes limit for maximum number of investors or that kind of things. So all of this is quite easy to encode. So that's why we think with the ERC 3643, we can cover most of these use cases. And in the past 5 years is what we've done already. So you have these rules related to investors where you can say, I want to verify anything, and then I will put the proof on chain. So it's very flexible. And on top of that, you can add extra compliance rules. So we think it's very, very flexible. We have a lot of templates for that as well that you can use just like this in a few clicks. So it's quite convenient. So hopefully people will start using this token standard as a market standard, not just a technical standard. We didn't want to push it. We didn't want to build it. We had to do it because nothing else was available on the market. You have other standards like ERC 1400, the kind of things, but if there is almost no token using this, there is a reason. It works differently and it's quite limited. So we think it's a good framework to start with. And then depending on the use cases, why not adding other smart contracts on top? It's very modular, so it's not too complicated.
Standards are fundamental in this space, and it's so good to see someone working in support of common rules, which are essential for growing the space, collaborating, and eventually scaling. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you so much, Luc and Tokeny, for joining us today. It's been a very thoughtful and engaging presentation and Q&A on improving distribution with blockchain-based ownership tracking, obviously with a perspective of tokenization, compliance, and marketplaces. We look forward to learning more about Tokeni's progress. A recording of this presentation will be circulated to all those who registered and shared publicly on GBBC's YouTube channel. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me.